Bye bye Oslo. Good morning. We're sailing south the Oslo fjord. I'm Martin. I'm traveling together with my partner Anke. Yesterday we had a day in Oslo. We're under sails at the moment. We have 10-11 knots wind. Tacking against the wind. Going south, want to be in a couple of days in Fredrikstad. We haven't decided when and where we want to stop today. We will see. Yeah, lovely day, beautiful weather. We look forward to the beautiful sailing day. In the first part of this cruise, starting in Oslo, we are sailing the Oslo fjord down to Sund and then to Fredrikstad. From there we are going to cruise to Costa Island, where we do an anchor stop. Afterwards we will sail to Grebbestad, then to Hamburgsund and through the Sotenkanalen to Smögen. In the second part of this cruise we are going to sail to Gullholmen, Marstrand, Gothenburg, Anholt, Gilleleie and finally to Copenhagen, where the cruise will end. Beautiful scenery. It is a gorgeous first day, sailing hard up the wind. Yesterday we were sightseeing in Oslo and the city really got us excited. It is the capital of Norway and has about 670,000 inhabitants. Around 1.1 million people live in and around Oslo, which is more than a fifth of the total Norwegian population. The city center of Oslo has an older part with many historical buildings and a newer, modern district which is located near the marinas.
We were pleased by both very well. In the modern district we were particularly impressed by the architecture because we got the feeling that the city planners have given a lot of thoughts of how to respond to the needs of the people in the best possible way, with many spacious squares, water features and apartments mixed with restaurants and shops. That is working very well for us. Of course, we also went up to the Akershus fortress and looked at that. It is located on the banks of the Oslo fjord and was built in the 13th century. We were carrying on towards the center and the street cafes were well visited in the sunny weather. Here we were near the Karl Johansgate and looking at the Norwegian Parliament building. A great park with a beautiful fountain is here in the immediate vicinity and right next to many restaurants and sidewalk cafes that invite you to linger. It is a nice view on the royal castle. Here is the National Theatre. Surprisingly, there's only little traffic for such a capital, and the public transportation network seems to be very well developed. Oslo is definitively worth a trip. Unfortunately, I crashed badly on the street late in the afternoon, and we had to spend half the evening in the hospital. But fortunately, nothing worse has happened, and only a few scratches on the face, which will heal after a few days.
In the meanwhile, the wind has risen to force 5, and we are still cruising the Oslo fjord south and have decided to stop in Sund. At the end of the day, it's 36 nautic miles and 23 tacks, which we needed to cruise against the south-southwest wind.
Approaching sun, it looks quite nice.
Actually, it was in Oslo, where the small town of Sund has been recommended to us as an attractive destination. Again, we are not disappointed. Sund is a very small town with about 1,000 people living there. Life mainly takes place on the promenade, where a variety of restaurants can be found. Lucky us, getting a good table in one of the full restaurants, and we enjoy the nice evening in the warm weather. The place has several marinas, which offer berths for guests as well. But you have to be a little bit careful that you pull the ticket at the right machine and not for the wrong marina, as happened to a Norwegian sailor who asked me at the ticket machine how long my ship is. I asked in surprise why he wanted to know that, and he explained that he pulled his ticket at the wrong machine and wanted to offer it. Unfortunately, it doesn't fit, because our ship's length is bigger than on the ticket.
Good morning! We just left Son. We have the sails up. It's not much wind today. Our destination is Fredrikstad. That's around about 30 to 33 miles. Yeah, beautiful morning here. Blue sky. Unfortunately, Anke cannot be in front of the camera because she had an accident in Oslo during the sightseeing tour. Yeah, probably a few days and then should be alright. Yeah, we're enjoying this beautiful day and look forward to Fredrikstad.
Today, as usually, many mariners are cruising the Oslo fjord. We are still fascinated by this fantastic landscape with many small villages on the shore, the holiday homes and the small mariners. Here we find ourselves already in the fjord up to Fredrikstad. This fjord goes right through the middle of the city. Fredrikstad has 3 bridges. In order to drive to the berths in the city, at least one must be passed. The bridge times are not quite as comfortable as we are used to from the Netherlands, but the announced times are reliable. We did 32 nautic miles from Son to Fredrikstad, mostly under sail.
We're now in Fredrikstad. We found a very nice place. Here at the canal in the center of the city. It was a very nice sailing day with good wind, good weather as well. And now we're looking forward to a nice dinner.
Fredrikstad is also one of the largest cities in Norway, with about 80,000 inhabitants. In the middle of the city, this fjord divides the city into 2 parts. At the promenade, the boat lays very quiet and central. There are a lot of restaurants nearby and the shopping opportunities are good as well. The next morning we are starting just before 9 o'clock, because we are dependent on the opening hours of the bridge. We call the bridge attendant to notify him and make sure that the bridge opens.
We are not quite sure what has happened to this motor yacht, but it hurts every mariner's heart to see something like that. We take the river Glomma to the south, getting to the sea. Our today's destination is Costa Island, which has been recommended to me a few times on the cruise as an absolute must.
After a pleasant drive under the engine, we are reaching the island, which presents itself in all its beauty on this sunny day. Fantastic! A small fjord divides the island into a northern and southern part. At starboard ahead we can see the village Nord Costa with a marina. But today we have an anchor stop in mind and continue driving. We are passing by many small holiday homes, which are located directly at the fjord. It's a short cruise of 22 nautic miles from Fredrikstad to Costa Island. Here in the southern part of the island we found a small bay where we can lay alone. Again, we enjoy the picturesque landscape very much. We take the opportunity to go ashore with a dinghy. On the Swedish archipelagos, some sheep live as far as the vegetation allows. The water is crystal clear and not too cold. It invites us for a swim.
War ehrlich.
To be on the safe side, we have 2 anchors out there, but we are always a bit overcautious. It is a really nice anchor stop in front of a nice scenery, and we enjoy the privacy and tranquility.
After breakfast we are getting ready to start, which means pulling up the outboarder with our little lifting aid and afterwards a dinghy with a boom topping lift. Then we lash the dinghy and heave both anchors.
Good morning, we are sailing from the island Costa to Grebbestad. We have 4 before and sailing upwind. It's around about 25 to 27 nautic miles. Yeah, today it's overcast, a few sunny spells, but we hope that the sun will come out this afternoon and we look forward to Grebbestad. Grebbestad ahead.
We have done 22 nautic miles, mostly hard up the wind, from Costa to Grebbestad. Grebbestad is well protected at the northern end of a fjord. The town itself has about 2,000 inhabitants and is one of the most popular seaside resorts here on the west coast of Sweden.
There are several marinas, but guests are only welcome in Grebbestad Bryggan. This is the first marina to starboard when approaching Grebbestad. It actually happened to us twice that we moored onto a private berth until we finally got the right advice where to moor. Luckily, we found the last hidden free berth at the promenade. The shopping opportunities are excellent, even though it is a bit of a walk. On the promenade is a lot of life and party going on in the evening. The restaurants are quite good as well.
In the morning we are heading to Hamburgsund. Today traffic on the water is enormous again. I already noticed the enthusiasm for water sports activities here in the north since I arrived in Norway a couple of weeks ago. In western Sweden as well, people love and enjoy the water, either on their boats, on the beaches or in their holiday homes on the archipelagos. Summer is relatively short in Sweden. The number of warm days is not very high, and so everyone tries to make the best possible use of the warm period of the year. That is why a lot of people travel at the same time in July. We are driving through different fjords to the south and are enjoying this unique and beautiful landscape. Here we are already in the idyllic little Hamburgsund, which is filled with many holiday homes right at the water, where everyone enjoys the wonderful day in his own way. It is a short cruise of 19 nautic miles under engine. We're heading to the town to find the guest marina. Just as we pull in, the throttle cable breaks, and so we can only conditionally maneuver. Luckily, we managed mooring with help at the pier. I spent the whole afternoon repairing in nice weather. Fortunately, I was able to buy the right spare part at the Volvo Penta dealer, which is in close vicinity. In the evening, we are looking at this small nice village, which has just 200 inhabitants, but is hosting a multiple of tourists during the season. We are eating well in one of the nice restaurants right at the waterfront, and are enjoying this gorgeous atmosphere. A ferry connects both parts of the village. It is pulled by cable. So when crossing by boat, you need to pay special attention that the cable is relieved and lays on the ground. This is a wonderful view on the picturesque Hamburgsund.
The next morning we are leaving, even though we would have liked to spend another day unpacking the bikes to explore the area around the fjord. But maybe next time.
Good morning, we just left Hamburgsund, driving through this beautiful little fjord. Lovely weather today, sun is shining. We are driving to Smögen,
Will be roughly 14 nautic miles. Yeah, we look forward to the day.
Through the also very picturesque archipelagos, we continue on the southern coast. On our way to Smögen, we are also taking the Sotenkanal, which is so well known and famous that we do not want to miss it for any price. A bridge is crossing the canal about halfway. After former experiences with infrequent bridge opening times, we try to find them out in the harbour office in Hamburgsund, but unfortunately without success. However, our concern should be without substance, because the canal is heavily used, so it seems that the bridge is usually open and closes only sporadically for the few cars.
There's a lot of traffic in this canal, and in the narrow passages the boats line up in both directions like ducks in a row. Again we find smaller and larger beaches. Here we see one of the typical rocky beaches in the archipelagos. Smögen and starboard. We are almost at our destination. We have done 14 nautic miles from Hamburgsund.
Because we were early, we found a good mooring in the package of boats at 4th place. Our Swedish neighbor immediately informed us that he wants to leave at 6 o'clock in the morning. We are still wondering if he really gets out of bed that early. Smögen has about 1,400 inhabitants, but hosts multiple of tourists in the summer months. We are currently in the calendar week 30. During the day, our neighbor at the next sailing boat told us what this week means in Scandinavia. Apparently, it's the party week of the year. That's why the town and the marina are very well visited right now. Several boats have large amplifiers with huge speakers, and the entire port area is well sounded from different directions with different music.
However, off the beaten tourist track you can still gain a good understanding of the originality of the place. Here's a small art shop with pottery, where we see how the pottery is made. Anke would like to buy a small vase, but unfortunately it does not work out with the card payment, which is such a pity. If you like it a little bit more quiet, you should look for a berth in the back of the marina. From a bird's eye view, you can see how this former fishing village clings to the barren but beautiful rocks. At the night the party is still going on with loud music, disco fog and lightning until late. And in July, only for a few hours, it's really dark at nights. Even if it is a fairly noisy place, we like it and would like to come back again. From our point of view, you should definitely try to experience this place. This has been the first part of our cruise, and we really have enjoyed it so far. During the further part, we will visit Gullholmen, Marstrand, Gothenburg, Anholt, Gilleleje, and finally Copenhagen.